Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are live for another edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control. It is race number 13 of 35 on our Do It for Dale Busch Series season, and we'll have this next race take place tonight at the Lowe Motor Speedway under the lights at Charlotte for the running of the CarQuest Auto Parts 300. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, live race commentary for real races on the race weekend, as well as the video game races during the week. And tonight, of course, a video game race. Tomorrow night will be the next live race commentary, as I'll be doing live commentary for the Truck Series race at Knoxville, starting with the heat races at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the main event race for the Truck Series tomorrow night, the 150-lap race, will start at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. That is tomorrow. Tonight, though, we have Busch Series action, and we're going to try to get Dale Jr. back-to-back wins for the first time in the Busch Series season. He's coming off just his second win of the season in the last race on Tuesday night at Richmond. We'll see if he can win this one starting from the rear of the field today. No practice, no qualifying. He's got a tough road ahead. Had a DNF in the first 150 laps of last night's Coca-Cola 600, so trying to bounce back in the Busch Series at the same racetrack for a little redemption today. Mark DeMars, Billy Carjoy, Brendan Littlejohn, and others, welcome to the stream. And without further ado, let's get this race underway. Got the Oreo Ritz paint scheme once again on the race car. First time in a while in the Busch Series. The green flag is in the air. It'll be Tony Stewart who's going to lead the field to the green flag here tonight under the lights in NASCAR's home of Charlotte, North Carolina. Track located just outside of Charlotte and Concord. The last Busch Series race on 1.5 miles was a wild race at Texas, to say the least, where we had 13 cautions in a 200-lap, 300-mile Busch Series race there. Something similar today. One car just got loose off of turn 4, and Junior's able to get around him on the front stretch as a result. Was looking to be very patient in this race. It was something he was very patient of last night in the Cup Series until they got through that first set of pit stops, and then the patience ran dry. It's a shorter race today, but Dale Jr. is going to try to go in it with a little bit more patience. And hopefully he's got the setup right because, again, no practice, no qualifying once again this season. The 7th time that is the case for the Busch Series. Billy Kramer, Derek Booth, welcome to the stream as well. One car passed in each of the first 2 laps for Dale Jr. Both times were in turns 3 and 4. 1.5 miles. Big stability problem, of course. A stability problem at this racetrack. They actually tied the record for the most cautions in a NASCAR 06 race last night, the Coke 600 with 13. With that Texas race in the Busch Series. We may see quite a few yellows today with that being the case. One car gets loose off turn 4. 3 wide to the bottom goes Dale Jr. A little too risky. Trying to make that pass. He had contact with Michael Jourdain Jr. in the 10 car. I don't know who got loose and stacked the field up, but Dale Jr. tried to go 3 wide to the inside. He didn't make contact, but he did get his way through there. So much for being patient, but he rather did that than ran into the back of somebody. Now he overdrives turn 1. Makes a big mistake, and he's going to lose a position out of it. A couple drivers struggling, though, with the exit of turn 4 right now. "15 games in a row you've won. Now you're 2 points out of 3rd place in the division." What a comeback. Hopefully you carry that momentum into the playoffs too. Have a deep run. Another car just got loose off turn 4. Can't tell who that is exactly. Looks like it might be Matt Kenseth in the 17. A lot for Junior to get a run off the exit of turn 4, make another pass. Bottom really opened up through turns 1 and 2. He's going to get around a couple more fantasy drivers. And he's up to 33rd. If he can keep the car clean tonight, I think it's going to be fast. He seems to be getting off of turn 4 really, really well compared to a lot of other drivers who are struggling with loose race cars. Oh, and he got hooked! And we nearly saw a wreck going into turn 1. That was a big hit behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. He got hooked on one of the cars in front of him. I think it was the 119 car. He got into the back of. I don't know how that didn't cause a wreck. And I don't even know how that happened. Junior was just riding in line behind him on the front stretch, and I don't know if the 119 checked up and Dale Jr. got into him. They made contact and he couldn't get off of him, and then Junior got hit from behind trying to check up. We stay green. There's quite a bit of damage to the back of the 81 car, though. And that was definitely not his fault. Nothing about driving over aggressive there. There was just a stack up and he got sandwiched. And that is going to be a big aero deficiency on the 81 right now, at least for the remainder of this opening fuel and tire stint of this race. And it's probably going to loosen up this race car quite a bit with the damage to the back. It's going to be problematic, especially in traffic. Which right now, being in 31st, he's got a lot of traffic in front of him yet. Couple cars shifting towards the outside. Again, Junior gets off turn 4 really well. Passes one car, gets underneath another. There's contact on the front stretch. Junior got a little loose off turn 4. That's what caused that. He got back into the gas at a good point, but he couldn't hold it with the damage on the back of the race car. Super, super light on the rear tires right now. And Junior is definitely going to be struggling with the handling of his car through the rest of this run. Lacking the downforce. Hopefully they can get that repaired when the first pit stop ends up coming about. But it's going to be a little bit. Cup Series, they went about 70 laps on a full fuel run. And we have a caution for the first time today. At lap number 11, that did not take long. And it looks like debris. And that was the driver who actually ran into the back of Dale Jr. That brings out the yellow. I'm not sure what flew off of his car. Probably a piece of the front fender somewhere. Yes, I am doing live commentary for the truck race tomorrow. Heat races and the main event. And it looks like the field is going to be pitting here, so Dale Jr. will pit too. Try to stay on the same strategy as the leaders. 4 tires and fuel coming up. Going to make sure he tops off. No adjustments. Hopefully they can pull out the back bumper damage just a little bit. So hopefully he's not aero loose anymore. 9 games left in the regular season. But yeah, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the start of the heat races on Fox Sports 1, I think. The heat races might be on Fox Sports 2. I know the main event, the actual race itself at 9 p.m. is on Fox Sports 1. But either way, I know the heat races start at 7. I will be live streaming the live commentary for the heat races. Then I'll be taking probably about an hour break between streams. Because I would assume the heat races are probably going to get done right around 8. And then I'll be back live again on another stream at 9 for the main event. So pulling double duty tomorrow night. And green flag back in the air. Dale Jr. gained a few spots on pit road. Looks like he gained 5 spots from 27th to 22nd following that debris caution. On lap number 11 from some cars at the back of the pack. It looks like the damage is repaired on the rear bumper. So great job by the 81 crew pulling out the fender and still having a fast stop, gaining 5 spots with it. Pretty good restart for Dale Jr. as well. He's going to make a pass into turns 3 and 4 with a slide job maneuver to get to 21st. Settle in now. Junior's made his way halfway through the field. And we're only at lap 16. Definitely got a fast car in this race tonight. Big run off the exit of turn 2. He's going to go 3 wide on the back straightaway and into turn 3. Junior feeling gutsy early on. And as he goes up the hill, he's going to be clear off the exit of turn 4. There's still 3 wide behind him. And they will manage to make it off of turn 4. Didn't look like anybody made contact with one another either. Yep, Cup Series going to NBC next week in Nashville. So Shane Meal will take his first lead of the race tonight. Junior just missed that corner going into turn 3. I was looking at the chat too long. I almost ended up in the wall. And the 133 car got back around Dale Jr. as Junior lost a spot because of it. At least he was able to keep it off the wall. The 133 car all the way down on the apron right now. He could run down there. I guarantee Dale Jr. will spin out if he ran that low in the middle of the corner. That's an advantage, though, if the 133 can hold on to it. Of course, these guys are on fresh tires after just pitting. But even still. It's in fact how we saw Dale Jr. flip in the Cup race yesterday when he lost control in 3 and 4. That same way. Got down on the apron just a little too much. Yep. And then most of the Xfinity series as well, Billy. It's amazing how low that 133 car is able to run in the middle of the corner. Taking the absolute shortest way around this racetrack. And it is working for him. He's going to go to the outside that time with a run on Newman. But he gave up enough of the bottom that Dale Jr. is going to work his way underneath him. Jr. is there into turns 1 and 2. Pass is going to be made. But a contact up ahead, saw some sparks flying somewhere. Somebody bobbled off turn 4 towards the outside. Looks like there's some smoke down into turns 1 and 2, like somebody almost wrecked the last lap through there. Dale Jr. inside the top 15 already. Next car in front of him is the 2 of Clint Boyer. Boyer looking low to try to get to the inside of Aaron Crocker into turns 3 and 4. He'll be able to do so. We'll see if Jr. can get his car pinned to the bottom off the exit of the corner and drive underneath Crocker as well, and it looks like that will be the case. Crocker trying to side draft Earnhardt going into turn 1. Jr. overdrives the corner. He clipped the apron, went up the track. Clipped the car to his outside. Cheetos Cup Series, Patrick Shadley, welcome to the stream as well. No mistake getting into turn 3. It's going to cost Dale Jr. a little bit more as well. He's still staying on the outside of the 133 car for right now. This 81 car is really fast today. We'll see if he can actually hang on and make a pass on the outside. I don't know that that's necessarily possible. Carries some momentum down the back straightaway. Junior could just keep the car clean. He's definitely going to have some speed, but he is feeling a little edgy early on. Trying to hang on to the outside groove. Saw him fight the wheel a little bit off turn 4 that time, and again he hangs on, trying to side draft the 133 car in front of him. Down into turns 1 and 2 they go. Junior still stuck on the outside off turn 2. That was a big block by the 133 car. He was not clear. That really stalled Dale Jr.'s momentum out. Now Ryan Newman trying to poke his nose to the inside, but Junior's going to get there instead. Junior feeling risky with it. Down to the bottom, trying to get underneath Aaron Crocker in the 6. And he'll make the pass for 14th honor. Junior a lot more aggressive than what I originally thought he was going to be in the early going of this race. Sometimes when you have a fast car, you feel like Superman and willing to do things that not a lot of drivers will dare in the early going of a race, but so far it has worked out for Dale Jr. Guess what your real name is? I saw it, Billy Lovejoy. I saw it in the chat a little bit ago. Are you late? A little bit, but a lot of action still to go yet. Another pass for Earnhardt to 13th. We'll take our first field pass of the race today. We'll go up to Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car, who was running in 8th place. Oh, got into Yaley. Yaley's in the outside wall, up turn 2. Yikes. Truex squeezed into a hole that was barely open, but he couldn't hold his car tightly to the bottom without getting into the left rear corner panel of the 18 car. Knocked him up into the outside wall as Truex holds on to 7th. Ahead of the 2 of Bowyer, but we stay green through it. A lot of aggressive racing going on right now. Christian Heidenkamp, welcome to the stream. Mark Martin leads. He has not won a race yet this season. We'll go back with Dale Jr., who has gained a spot since we last saw, and he's up to 12th place. Just past the 106 car. Lap 30, he's 2.4 seconds off the lead. If you're just tuning in for the first time, we've had one caution tonight. It was for debris at lap 11 from a car towards the back of the pack. Everybody pitted during that early caution. So they're on equal fuel and tire strategy right now. And we restarted at lap 14. Longest of the 2 green flag runs so far today. Junior started last with no qualifying or practice, and is working his way through the field. Using up Casey Kane a little bit that time. Making the pass for 11th. And Junior being a little too aggressive, I think, for the early going. It's how desperate he is to try and lead as many laps as possible. And hopefully try to win this championship. Going into the last race at Richmond before he dominated, leading 199 of the 250 laps en route to victory in a max points day. He was 359 points out of first in the standings and 15th in points. But with that max points day, he went from 369 back to now 325 back, and he gained 3 spots from 15th to 12th now. And may have a shot to get in the top 10 in the point standings in the Busch Series for the first time this year. If he has another solid run today, which he definitely has a car capable of it, but the way he's running in the early going, I don't know necessarily he's going to survive that long. But he has willed this car to the top 10 quickly now as he passes Yaley cleanly through 1 and 2. Wasting no time. In 33 laps, he's gone from 43rd to 10th, and he's just over 2 seconds off the race lead. We'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. It is good racing going on right now. I like when drivers can be a little aggressive and keep it green on the racetrack. Try to keep it off one another. Probably the most exciting style of racing there could be. Looks like Kenny Wallace trying to get to the inside of Bowyer for 8th. Couldn't quite get there. Looked like he might have had a shot to side draft him on the back straightaway, but wasn't aggressive enough with it. And Bowyer was able to stay clear going into turns 3 and 4. Martin slowly pulling away from second on back, it looks like. He has not won in the Cup or Busch Series yet this season. We'll see if Mark Martin can get the job done today. Kenny Wallace losing a little bit of time for Boyer after he couldn't get around him a couple laps ago, and Dale Jr. is closing in quickly on the Stacker 2 Ford. Truex going to gain another spot. Looks like on Brian Vickers through turns 3 and 4. Kenny Wallace looked to have gotten a little loose off turn 4, and Jr. closes the gap even more now on the front stretch. All over the back of Wallace going into turns 1 and 2. Wallace left just a little bit of the bottom open. Earnhardt got to the bottom. He spins around, trying to keep it off the track, and everybody misses him to the outside. That was a close call. Kenny Wallace did not give Dale Jr. a lot of room, even though Jr. was underneath him going into turn 1. Great save by Earnhardt, and it's a good thing everybody missed him to the outside. That's how he DNF'd in the Cup race last night. Very fortunate nobody hit him, and he's going to keep that car clean. Well, the caution flag is going to be out. And to the back he goes. 3.6 seconds of damage. Whoo-wee. That'll take your breath away. New Joji, welcome to the stream. Favorite NASCAR game is NASCAR 05. Chase for the Cup. That's the one I played the most growing up. That NASCAR 07 on the PSP.
Nobody else decided to come in.
And Kenny Wallace really ran Dale Jr. tight through turns 1 and 2, and Jr. just kind of lost control of the race car. Mainly because he clipped the apron, but I don't fault Dale Jr. there. He had a run. He was clearly on the inside of Wallace. There was no contact between the two cars, but there obviously wasn't that much room. And Jr. just lost it. To the back he goes. 42nd on lap 42 after the second caution of the race. Everybody stayed out of the pits, so Jr. cannot pit for fuel or tires because of being involved in the accident. He's got a long ways to go to try to get himself back to the front of the field. He's going to pick up one spot on the restart, getting around the 117. Junior was maybe a little over-aggressive, but was able to get himself in the top 10, and it was not an aggressive move that he spun out on. Kenny Wallace would have given him a little bit more room, which I'm surprised he didn't, considering it was only lap 39 when the caution came out? I'm surprised Kenny was racing that hard this early in the race. The stack up off the exit of turn 4. Junior stays in the gas. He's got to run. Junior's obviously burned through his tires during this run with that spin. So I would not be surprised if his car is going to be very loose the rest of this run. Never crush Oreos unless it's on ice. Oh, we got to stack up off turn 4 again. Junior went to the bottom to avoid it, and that allowed him to pick up another spot. Nice little run through turns 1 and 2 as well. Gonna look to the bottom on the back straightaway. 3 wide as they enter into turn 3. This is being a little aggressive, and we got another yellow. Our third of the day. Junior kind of squeezed the cars on the outside a little too much. He overdrove it on the bottom while they were 3 wide, and the 2 cars on the outside wrecked. Oh, wow, and a barrel roll down at the bottom of the racetrack in the aftermath of it. The transition from the banking to the apron in the middle of the corner flipped that car over. It's one of the fantasy drivers. And we have our third yellow, and again, Dale Jr. cannot pit for fuel or tires, causing the accident. And we'll punish him going to the back again. Everybody else got to stay out, so everybody's still on the same fuel and tire strategy, but Unfortunately, Junior just keeps having to be punished for these accidents. And even if I wanted to pit for fuel and tires, remember there is a fuel and tire limit as well. So even if I would have taken tires these last couple times, that would only give me 1 set left to the end of the race. We only have 3 sets left as it is now. Everybody pitting for tires during that first yellow at lap 11 for the debris.
Looks like we were the only car on pit road during that entire caution.
Everybody smash that like button up to 16 viewers, but only 6 likes. And subscribe if you are new for more daily NASCAR content. Mark Martin's dominated the early going of tonight's race so far. 3 cautions already. And the CarQuest Auto Parts 300 at Charlotte at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. This time period in NASCAR, and about a quarter of the way home right now. Long way still to go. If I had to imagine, at least 2 more, maybe 3 pit stops. One car in the outside wall, middle of the front stretch. Very slow right now, working his way into turn 1. Big stack up on the outside. Junior down towards the bottom. Trying to stay out of the way and had to check up big time. I don't know how that happened. Everybody was able to stay clear either to the bottom or at least check up enough behind these cars. Junior, 3 wide into turn 1. Oh, up, contact. Well, they didn't wreck that time, luckily. Thank goodness. I don't think 3 wide at Charlotte works out very well. Second time we've tried it, and second time we've had contact. Not with the graining of this racetrack, it does not make it easy to do that. These cars are very unstable. We saw that in the truck and the cup race already, and we're seeing it in tonight's Busch race. Mikey, welcome into the stream. These guys are past halfway through their stint already on fuel and tires. Junior's probably wore his tires out more than anybody else in the field right now. The only reason he's still passing cars is because he's at the back and he's well faster than everybody towards the back. Run the risk, though, if we see another accident middle of the pack. We've had 3 cautions already today, and there's a lot of drivers running really low in the middle of the corner down on the apron. That is a trouble spot. We saw Junior lose it earlier today, but he was able to save it. Junior to the outside through 3 and 4. Definitely carrying a lot of momentum on the front stretch with it. May have a shot to get to the inside into turn 1. One car just squeezed him. Junior was still able to make the pass, even with the tight squeeze. Not going to get squeezed that time on the front stretch. Little slide job going off into turn 1, clear. Without any practice or qualifying, we have not been able to practice any pit stops in the Busch Series at Charlotte as well. Car right in front of Earnhardt got a little loose off turn 4. He'll carry the momentum on the front stretch to the inside. Should be able to make a pass for 33rd into turns 1 and 2. Drove it really deep. Slides up the hill. Crossover by the car on the bottom to get right back around Dale Jr. No, not quite. Hasn't cleared him. Jr. going to carry the momentum off the outside. But he's going to be stuck on the outside going into turns 3 and 4 now. Again, he's got a looser car at this point in the run. We'll see if he can hang on to it. He does. Power move. Earnhardt clear on the front stretch. That is definitely a power move if I've ever saw one. Junior's been one of the few cars that's actually been able to get the outside lane to work. He hasn't really made a mistake the few times he's been up there. Whether he has been stuck up there or intentionally went up there. Neapolitan Oreos on the car tonight? Is that like from the donuts on the side of it from other cars? Is that what you mean by that?
The 108 car. Number 108. Making a move on the right.
We're still getting through all the back markers right now. Turns 3 and 4. Carries the momentum to the bottom. Looking to make another pass into turns 1 and 2. Just got squeezed by another car simultaneously. Or is that from like the brown streaks in the Dale Jr.'s undergarments tonight from that save he had to make earlier? He spun out and everybody missed him. Junior just passed another car on the outside. That one was legitimate though. That wasn't a slide job on the bottom, went high and then somebody tried to cross over and failed. He just flat out mowed his way right around him on the outside lane. Telling you what, this 81 car is fast if he can keep it clean, and so far he's been able to do that through 60 laps. Again, he spun out, but he was able to save it. And everybody missed him narrowly to the outside. Junior is putting it all on the line tonight. Feels he has nothing to lose. He's 325 points out of first, 12th in the standings coming in. Hey, I'm just saying, if it happened to Tony Stewart once at Watkins Glen, it could happen to anybody. Worst part is he had a white driver suit too, if I remember correctly, so I'm sure that was easily noticeable. Wasn't it like 90 degrees that day too? Oh, that's gotta be terrible. That's like sitting in the inside of a porta potty on a 90-degree day, essentially, for like 2 hours. Could you imagine that? The aroma? Surprised he didn't pass out, honestly. That'd be nauseating. That 119 car looks to be a rival. That was the car Dale Jr. accidentally got in the back of when there was a checkup very early in the race. Just a couple laps in. That's why he's upset, so that's going to be a tough pass for Dale Jr. when he gets to him. Car trying to get to the outside of another big block up high that opened the door up for Jr. with the loss of momentum by both drivers. Gaining 2 spots to get to 26th. Junior was as high as 10th in the running order so far today, trying to get back to the top 10. Owen Howell, welcome to the stream. It's going to be interesting for Junior to try and pass the 119. Oh, we got a car down in the grass on the front stretch right now. I don't know what happened up there, but I think a couple cars made contact off the exit of turn 4, and somebody either dodged to miss Lowe or just got loose and had to go down into the grass one way or another. Weaseled his way back into traffic. No major checkup surprisingly. How can Junior get around this 119 car without an attempt at the 119 trying to wreck him? It's going to be tough. Into turns 1 and 2. Junior to the inside. Oh boy. And he's going to clear him. Clean pass. I'm surprised the 119 car did not take a swing at Dale Jr. But Junior's thankful he didn't. Junior got around him cleanly. No problems. Now he's hoping to get away from him before he gets turned. Oh, trouble on turn 4. One car around. Junior to the grass to miss everybody. And he's up to 17th. Wow, that was a big moment. And a cloud of smoke, and somehow everybody missed that sliding car that went down into the grass. Junior had to go even lower on the grass just to miss him. But he was able to make it work. And he held on to his race car down in the grass, came back onto the asphalt, and he ended up gaining about 10 positions. We stay green. I don't know how that wasn't a caution, but we do stay green. Days of Thunder. I don't know who that was, but that was a great save by them. And what a quick reaction for Junior to go into the grass, pick up the positions, and not lose control of his race car, getting back up onto the asphalt. On older tires, too. Look at all the skid marks off the exit of turn 4. There were a lot of cars checking up trying to miss that. They were hard on the binders. These mile-and-a-half races in the Busch Series are something else, let me tell you. We had 13 yellows at Texas in a 200-lapper. We've had 3 tonight, but remember, we had 13 in the Coke 600 last night. I'm surprised we haven't had more than 3 with all the chaos that's ensued time and time again in this race. Fighting the crowd, yeah, that's right. They had all those cutscenes. That was always funny. I always liked when they were arguing with each other and their jaws were flapping really fast. When will these drivers hit pit road? It's going to be interesting. Nobody's pitted during the second and third caution for fuel and tires. Everybody pitted during that first yellow at lap 11. So I'm not sure exactly how many more stops we're going to have the rest of this race because we haven't gone a full fuel run without any cautions. So obviously these guys have been able to save a little bit of fuel during the last couple of yellows. You've been in a fight before? I have not. I will take that badge of honor. I'd either feel like a wimp if I got beat up, or I'd feel bad for beating somebody else up. So I would hope to never be in that predicament. And I'm an adult now. I mean, he should be able to talk it out with somebody. Should have to go down to fisticuffs. That's some close calls when I was racing when I was younger, though. We've got cars peeling onto pit road right now at lap 75, coming to lap 76. Our first set of pit stops under green flag conditions today. Our second set of pit stops total starting right now. How long will Dale Jr. stay out on the racetrack? And we don't know how many more stops we're going to have the rest of this race. And Junior's going to want to take this as long as he can, even though he knows he's likely going to lose quite a bit of track position, staying out as long as he can. But you never know if we're also going to get a caution in the middle of green flag stops, because we've seen that a lot in this game in any of the 3 series. A lot of cars onto pit road that time. Matt Kenseth will lead for the first time in the race. Race leader Mark Martin peeled onto pit road. Junior stays out longer than anybody else. He can pick up 5 bonus points for leading a lap as well, because he's not led yet today. And he's only been as high as 10th in the running order up to this point. He's a couple more cars away from pitting from him being above that 10th place position. At least 1 car, maybe 2 from the top 10 pit that time, and that'll move Dale Jr. to 9th. There's Mark Martin. He's going to cycle off the pit road behind the 81 of Dale Jr. And when he gets up to speed, he is definitely going to try to unlap himself on the 81 of Earnhardt. Earnhardt to the outside through turns 3 and 4. Car right in front of him in the 133. Kind of a protective line, trying to put Dale Jr. in that dirty air a little bit up high. Martin Truex Jr. just led that last lap. 5 bonus points for the number 8 car. It's Kenseth pit. Looks like Martin's going to cycle to the lead the way things are right now. It's also going to depend maybe how much Dale Jr. is going to hold him up. Truex will pit from the lead. Jr. getting tight in the dirty air behind the 133, who just got loose off turn 4. Jr. made an evasive move to get to the inside, now trying to side draft him. Into turns 1 and 2, Jr. will make the pass for position on the racetrack. Clint Boyer led that last lap after Truex pit from the lead. It looks like everybody in front of Dale Jr. in the top 4 will pit this time by, which means Dale Jr. should pick up 5 bonus points leading his first lap of the race this time. So Dale Jr. leads. 5 bonus points for leading. Again, he's going to stay out as long as possible in case we get a caution. He's the last car that still has to pit. He'll have the field a lap down when he crosses by the front stretch this time by. That is, unless Mark Martin can get around him before then. He's not really close enough to make a pass yet. I think off of turn 2 next time, he's probably going to have a run on Earnhardt, and he may have a shot from there. But Martin in second. The more Dale Jr. can hold him back, the better for himself. So the first laps Earnhardt has led today. Martin getting held up, and Edwards may have a shot to run down his teammate. Mark maybe being a little patient right now, knowing Earnhardt still has to pit as well. Martel Antoine, welcome to the stream. Martin looking low off of turn 2. Junior not going to squeeze him or anything here. He's ran the outside really well today. He'll stay wide into turns 3 and 4. So Martin gets around him to get back on the lead lap. Earnhardt a little loose off turn 4. Dale Jr., Junior was a little loose off turn 4, but Junior will pit this time by lap 84. He's not going to go any further in case he runs out of fuel. So he stays in front of the 60 of Carl Edwards. Junior's already stayed out longer than anybody else. He'll go on to lead 4 laps before making his way to pit road this time by. Checking up, Edwards going to the outside. Junior will pit this time off turn 4. Try not to speed. 70 miles per hour is the pit road speed limit, and easily he'll get down in time. Full tank, 4 tires, and fuel. No adjustments for the 81 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. His first stop of the day. Was able to lead 4 laps in this race by staying out longer than everybody else. That gets him 5 bonus points. He was in 17th when the pit stop started. Wade Zielinski, welcome to the stream. Looks like a clean stop for the 81 crew. 15.4 seconds, not bad. Mark Martin back in the lead into turns 1 and 2. And Dale Jr. right back to where he was running. That was a really good stop for the 81 team, even though Dale Jr. stayed out quite a ways on fuel. Again, 4 laps longer than the next closest car. On older tires, he still cycles out at 17th, and ultimately he's only 8.2 seconds off the lead. I think he only lost a second or two. I think he'll take that. He stayed out a lot longer than Martin, probably 7 or 8 laps longer than him. He was one of the first cars to hit pit road. I think Dale Jr.'s having a solid night tonight. He hasn't been in the top 10 very long, but he's got a fast race car, and again, he's kept it clean, so if he can just do that for the second half of this race today, I think he'll have a good finish. Easier said than done, though. We've seen a lot of wild action around him. He had to miss a near wreck through the grass on the front stretch already, a little bit after a restart earlier. Going a few laps longer than everybody else on fuel that time means he'll be able to do that again and again and again, and we'll see if that leads him to maybe making it on fuel on one last stop than everybody else. Looks like it's similar to the Cup Series, about 70 green flag laps. Granted, there was 6 caution laps that were also ran, but he did go 70 laps total. So probably looking at just less than 70 laps that Dale Jr. can go on a full tank of fuel. And came out of the pits. I don't see why he can't make it on 2 more stops. Actually, 1 more if you think about it. I think everybody can make it on 1 stop. Junior has 2 sets of tires left, depending on how the cautions may fall if he decides to go off strategy potentially. With everybody primarily on the same strategy right now, I think you just got to stay with everybody else strategy-wise. I don't think Junior wants to come from the back again with the crazy restarts we've had today. He's been fortunate that every time he's been back there, he's been able to miss near accidents, but I don't know if he could keep that up going forward. 133 getting a little tight in line behind Ryan Newman in the 39 car. In the middle of 1 and 2, Dale Jr. drives to the inside. Back straight away, looking to make the pass into turn 3. And he will make a clean pass for 16th. Credit to the 133 car, giving Dale Jr. quite a bit of room. Still in the first half of the race, so definitely helps with that. Now Jr. into 1 and 2 to the inside of Ryan Newman. Going to make a quick pass on the 39. Altel Dodge. And he's inside the top 15. 10 laps away from tonight's trivia question. I won't have to pause it. I already have it. I will tell you guys, it is a tough trivia question. I don't know if anybody's going to get it tonight. But we'll see. It's tough enough to where I'll actually give you guys a hint at a certain lap marker if you guys don't get the question right beforehand. I don't do that too often. Be prepared to test your Charlotte track facts. Again, that'll be at the halfway mark after we complete lap number 100. I didn't realize the 133 actually got around Ryan Newman right after Dale Jr. did. Jr. is running faster laps than Mark Martin in the lead right now, too. Just putting that out there. 7 lap fresher tires. And this surface may make a difference initially. So we'll see if he can actually keep this pace up as we get 20 plus laps into the run. And if he does, he's definitely got a car capable of winning. I know he's got a top 10 car for sure. So he obviously drove up there on normal pace earlier. There's been no luck on the mile and a half for Dale Jr., especially in the Busch Series. And the Cup Series as well. Even though he did have a top 10 in the last mile and a half racetrack in the Busch Series, he finished 9th at Texas. Still doesn't mean he's had great luck. That's his best finish on the mile and a half this season of the 4 races we've had on mile and a halves. Big run through 1 and 2 as he closes in on Shane Meal in front of him. Meal led some laps very early in the race, but he's lost a lot of track position since. Through turns 1 and 2, Meal's got a run. Looks to the inside of Casey Kane. Dale Jr. has a run now on Shane Meal in the 32. He's going to go way down to the bottom. Good thing they weren't 3 wide going into the corner, because that hasn't worked out today whenever they have been. And Jr. makes a clean pass on Meal in the 133, going to follow him. That was an aggressive move on a block by Meal, but then thought better of it down the back straightaway, and Dale Jr. was able to get around him quickly, make the clean pass. And now he's got to run off turn 2 on Casey Kane in the 79. Kane looks low initially. Jr. going to pull back in line. He didn't have as much of a run as what he had on Meal before. Going to run the outside through 3 and 4, building up the momentum again off the exit of the corner. Kane may have bobbled just a little bit. That's going to give a run for Dale Jr. Can he hold on to it on the inside? And he is underneath Kane into turns 1 and 2. Dale Jr. on the move, ladies and gentlemen. Trivia before trivia. The pre-trivia trivia. So he got a little tight that time. In line behind Yaley. Holds the outside though. Got the 133 car underneath him right now. Junior trying to crowd him to see if he can get back down onto the bottom lane. That is a tight squeeze that time. I don't know how the 81 fit his car between the 133 and the 18. But he is just able to do it and may get to the inside of Yaley on the back straightaway. That was a gutsy move because he very easily could have turned himself. But just enough room is enough, and he'll make the pass on Yaley through 3 and 4. I was breaking a sweat just making that move. I didn't think that was a very wise decision in hindsight, but it still worked out. That's one of those moves where 9 times out of 10 you wreck yourself, and that was the 1 out of 10 times where I didn't. And it actually worked out. That was a last lap move. On lap 99 of 200. Quickly closing in on Aaron Crocker for 11th. Junior to the bottom, got into Crocker getting into turn 1. Crocker kind of squeezed Dale Jr. and Jr. also overdrove the corner at the same time. Got into the side of the 6, making a bit of contact. Junior's up to 11th one way or another, I guess. 133 has followed Dale Jr. all the way through this. One car nearly got in the wall off turn 4 up ahead inside the top 10 as well. Stacking up a group of cars. Jr. is 8.3 seconds off the lead when he came out of the pits. Now it's down to 7 seconds even. We're halfway through tonight's race. Time for tonight's trivia question on the channel. And here it is. Who are the only 2 drivers in NASCAR history to win 2 Xfinity Series races back-to-back from the pole at Charlotte? That is tonight's trivia question. Again, who are the only 2 drivers in NASCAR Xfinity Series history to win back-to-back races at Charlotte from the pole? I will give you guys a hint at lap 110 and the answer to the question at lap 120, at the end of lap 120, if nobody gets it right up to that point. It's a tough trivia question tonight, but you have to name both of those drivers. Once again, who are the only 2 drivers in NASCAR Xfinity Series history to win back-to-back Charlotte races from the pole? And I'll be generous enough, I'll give you guys 2 hints at lap 110. Because it is a tough question. I don't know if anybody's going to get it. And I have to be strict. You have to get them both right. I'm not going to say if you got one right or the other. If I see somebody answer one correctly, or both of them correct in the same answer, then obviously I'll shut you guys out. Try not to Google, of course. Harvick and Kyle Busch, that is not correct. Unlimited guesses, by the way. Austin Cindric and Jeffrey Earnhardt. No. Jeffrey Earnhardt's never won an Xfinity race. Not that I can remember. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick again from Billy Kramer. Nope. That is a very safe answer, though. I feel like it's probably the safest answer you could pick. That is not the answer. Five more laps and I'll give you guys 2 hints. John Hamilton in the 120 car is the points leader, sits in 10th right now. He was 33 points ahead of second place in the standings coming into the race today, but if Junior gets around him, that's going to knock him outside the top 10, which means if Dale Jr. can drive to the front and the 120 car still finishes outside the top 10, that could be another big points gain in a chunkly fashion. If chunkly is even a word, I might have just made it up. I need to start using that now. Chunkly. I could use that so many times throughout the day, I feel. My dog is very chunkly. Oh, contact! Tony Stewart got in the left rear of Kenny Wallace up ahead. He's got a really big run going into turn 1. Can't get underneath the 120 though. This 120 car is definitely holding Dale Jr. up a little bit. Knew it was tough. Everybody's just waiting for the hint. I take it for the trivia question. I haven't seen any other guesses. Well, yeah, we'll just wait for the hint. We can't get it before that. Junior finally got to the inside of the 120 car. And he'll make the pass. And the 133 may follow Dale Jr. He's been following Junior this entire run. Keeping the same pace as the 81 right now. Going to need those hints. Yeah, you guys are waiting for the hints. They'll be coming your way this time by. So you guys are going to have about 10 more laps to get tonight's trivia question at the end of lap 120. Again, here's tonight's trivia question and then the 2 hints to follow. We're the only 2 drivers in NASCAR Xfinity Series history to win back-to-back races at Charlotte from the pole. Your 2 hints, they are both Xfinity Series champions. One drove for Chevrolet and one drove for Ford. That is the hints. And who are the only 2 drivers in NASCAR Xfinity Series history to win back-to-back races at Charlotte from the pole? And your hints are one drove for a Ford and one drove for a Chevrolet, and they are both NASCAR Xfinity Series champions. Former champions. You have to name them both. And I'm not going to tell you whether you got one right and the other wrong if you guys do get one of them right in your answers. Patrick's holding himself to 1 guess minimum. Hey, I like the honesty in that. Ty Gibbs, Josh Berry. Neither one of those 2 have won an Xfinity championship. They could be future champs, potentially. In the 2000s or now these days? In general, like up to date, they have won at least 1 championship in the Xfinity Series. Another hint, they don't currently run full-time in the Xfinity Series, so it's not going to be any current drivers in the Xfinity Series. This is a historical Charlotte question tonight. So there you go. I gave you guys a third hint. They're not currently in the Xfinity Series, which kind of limits it down anyway with champions. I don't even know if there is any Xfinity Series champions that race full-time in the Xfinity Series anymore. Not that I can think of. Cindric Cup now. Allgaier hasn't won one. I don't think there is anybody in the Xfinity Series that's won a... Oh, Hemrick. Hemrick's the only one that's won an Xfinity title. But obviously he's never won at Charlotte, so that can't be the answer to the question. His only win was at Phoenix last season. He won the race and the championship. I guess Hemrick's the only Xfinity Series champion in the field. Little mistake by Dale Jr. off turn 4, trying to hang on with a desperate block on the front stretch. And he holds on in front of the 133, who has been all over his back bumper this entire time in Junior's quest and drive towards the front of the field. Mark Martin's about to catch lap traffic for the first time today. See, Elliott, you got to name them both, though. There's two drivers. Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott. That is not correct. I do like that answer, but it is not correct. That was a good guess. Elliott and Bell, that is incorrect also. Remember, one drove for Chevy and one drove for Ford. That's where you guys are still missing up on that hint of the guesses I've seen so far. Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott are two Chevy drivers, and then it's Toyota and Chevy for Bell and Elliott. So those can't be the answers. Have to have driven for Chevy and Ford. Had to have been former Xfinity champs to win back-to-back races at Charlotte in the Xfinity Series from the pole. The only two. Stenhouse and Reddick. Those are still two... well, I guess that is a Chevy and a Ford. I was thinking, yeah, Stenhouse, he did drive for Ford at the time. So I guess that would meet the requirements, but that is not correct. Good guess again, though. You guys got one more lap. It's a tough question tonight. I think the answer will shock you guys. I definitely feel like Dale Jr.'s time has kind of tapered off a little bit during this run. He's just less than 6 seconds off the lead. He's slowly gaining. He hasn't caught any lap cars, though. And Mark Martin's dealing with lap traffic right now, which is definitely helping the 81. Remember, these guys only have one more pit stop left the rest of this race. And that window's going to open up in about 10 more laps. Michael Turner, welcome to the stream. Nobody got the answer right to tonight's trivia question. Again, here is the question. I'll give you guys the answer. I asked you guys to name the only two drivers in NASCAR Xfinity Series history to win back-to-back races at Charlotte from the pole. And the hints were that one drove for a Chevrolet, one drove for a Ford, and the other hint is that they are both former Xfinity Series champions. The answers: Austin Dillon, which I mean, a couple of you guys said Austin Dillon is one of your answers. He was the Chevrolet driver. The Ford driver, who I thought was going to be the tougher one to get. Honestly, Austin Dillon was going to be tough to get to. But the Ford driver, Jeff Gordon. Remember, Jeff Gordon drove for a Ford in his Busch Series days back in the early 90s. He also won back-to-back races at Charlotte from the pole and the now Xfinity Series. So Jeff Gordon, Austin Dillon was the answer to tonight's trivia question. Very tough question. That's why I figured I'd give you guys a few hints. Biffle and Busch both drove for Fords. But, Jeff Gordon and Austin Dillon is the answer to tonight's trivia question. I'm surprised that a couple people actually said Austin Dillon as one of the answers, though. Looks like Junior slowly getting away from the 133 car behind him. I mean, maybe slowly closing in on Tony Stewart and Brian Vickers up ahead, but it's tough to tell for sure. He's about 5.5 seconds off the lead now. But again, he hasn't caught any lap cars. And Mark Martin is obviously in pretty heavy lap traffic right now. Wasn't thinking of Jeff Gordon. Yeah, a lot of people probably forget he was in a Ford development program. Could you imagine if Jeff Gordon ever raced at Hendrick and he raced for Roush in the 90s? Could you imagine him and Mark Martin being teammates in the 90s? That's a deadly team. Like, Gordon carried the banner for Hendrick in the 90s. Yeah, Terry Labonte was good, and he did win one championship. But Mark Martin, I mean, who knows? That could have elevated Mark to a couple titles. And you also wonder if Gordon would have been second fiddle to Martin, especially in his early years when Gordon was winning titles at Hendricks, that maybe, you know, Martin would have won some of those titles. Gordon would have been good, but I don't think, you know, he wouldn't have been playing second fiddle at Hendrick, obviously. It's crazy. Let's see Jeff Gordon in the Xfinity list. Well, he's not currently there anymore. Obviously, he's retired. But he is a former Busch champ. A lot of jockeying for position going on. Kenseth's starting to fall back a couple positions. I think Gordon would have won more titles at Roush. You imagine, like, Roush was already stacked in the mid-2000s. Could you imagine Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Mark Martin, Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle, and Jeff Gordon? Well, I guess one of those guys would have been gone. Who was the last one to get there? I think Biffle was the last one to get there. So instead of Biffle, it would have been Gordon probably. So replace a pretty good driver, a 19-time Cup winner, but no championships, of the guy who won over 90 races and 4 championships. 3 wide off the exit of turn 4. Bold move from Dale Jr. underneath Matt Kenseth and Brian Vickers. They're still 3 wide all the way down the front stretch and into turn 1. Will they make it? And it looks like they will. And Junior's clear off turn 2 for 7th. I'm surprised they held on to it without making contact. It's the first time we've seen 3 wide with no contact today. First 2 times it was a little bit, and they actually held on for about a half a lap 3 wide. Really impressive from the middle of 3 and 4 until about the middle of 1 and 2. Junior less than 5 seconds off the lead now after that bold move. So the leaders are dealing with heavy lap traffic. Junior passing some cars for position. Tony Stewart's really pulled away in some of this. Junior's led 4 laps today in the middle of green flag stops. That's it. The pit window's open to the end of the race now. Haven't seen anybody dive onto pit road yet. I'm sure we will very soon. For drivers potentially trying to short pit. Heavy lap traffic. Obviously the heaviest we've seen lap traffic all day. Junior trying to end the mile-and-a-half curse. Up the track. Just squeezed one of the lap cars into the wall. Guess it could have been worse. They didn't wreck. Costed him about 1/10 of a second that last lap compared to Martin. Gordon never won a Busch championship? Are you sure? I know Jeff Burton beat him out one year. One car blowing up on the apron. It was a lap car. That wasn't a pass for position for Earnhardt. Junior drives it in deep into 3 and 4. Clears the lap car to the bottom. But with that slide job maneuver, Brian Vickers going to get to the inside. One car gets loose off turn 4 in front of Earnhardt. But Earnhardt's so good on the outside, even when he gets up there on older tires like he did just a second ago. Hangs on to it and clears Vickers on the front stretch. He gets back to the bottom to pass the lap car, the 117, who lost a lot of momentum off turn 4, nearly getting into the wall. Oh, sorry, I gave you guys an inaccurate hint then. I'm still going to bank on the fact that I don't know if anybody would have answered the question correct, but apologize for that. Quarter tank of gas left right now for Dale Jr. Mark Martin hits pit road from the lead. And these are the final stops of the race today. Junior underneath one of the lap cars into turns 1 and 2. Got a bit out of shape. The right rear wearing off in the middle of the corner. And the yellow on the tire wear indicator. I think the cars in front of Biffle now, or Dale Jr. rather, going into turns 1 and 2 are going to pit. Truex will pit. Edwards is on pit road. This will give the race lead to Boyer for the second time today. I don't know that Dale Jr. is going to want to stay out as long as possible this time. He was only able to really cut just over 3 seconds into that deficit earlier. Stewart going to stay out. I think that was Mark Martin who just got loose off turn 4. Junior getting squeezed by the lap car. Got a little bit of room. Rival in the 119 is going to be on fresher tires behind Earnhardt. Carl Edwards down on the bottom of the racetrack. He's trying to get up to speed into turn 3 on the inside of Dale Jr. Junior stuck on the outside through the corner. It's going to be tough for Earnhardt to get around both Mark Martin and Carl Edwards with those two on fresher tires right in front of him. Big move from Dale Jr. on the inside of Cousin Carl. Stewart looking for the lead on Boyer on the back straightaway as they head into turn 3. Junior's going to clear Edwards, even on older tires. Nice little move there, and he's got to run on the front stretch trying to get around the 9 of Mark Martin next. Junior with a run down the backstretch, but Martin with the block. But Edwards never won back-to-back races at Charlotte from the pole, though, so that wouldn't have been an answer. And tonight, either way, the answer to the questions were still correct as far as The only two drivers to win from the pole at back-to-back Charlotte Xfinity races were Jeff Gordon and Austin Dillon. I just gave you guys one of the 3 hints I gave you guys were inaccurate, that's all. Stewart getting a little loose off turn 4 now. There's a lap car on the outside of Tony Stewart. Junior wants to pit, but he doesn't want to get trapped a lap down right now. He's going to get into the back of Martin. Martin gets sandwiched. He's going to go wide. Down on the bottom of the track into 3 and 4 goes Dale Jr. He's going to pit. Stewart on his way in, as well as Boyer. That's why Dale Jr. came in at the same time. He didn't want to stay out any longer than those guys. And the last of the leaders to hit pit road are on pit road right now for 4 tires and fuel. The money stop. They stayed out quite a bit longer than Edwards and Martin. We'll see where they'll cycle. Oh, jeez. I might have to pause it just to clarify. Edwards never won back-to-back races from the pole. Alright, let me pause it for a quick second. Yeah, Austin Dillon won back-to-back from the pole. I know Gordon did because I already looked at it. But yeah, Carl Edwards wouldn't have been an answer to the question. I don't think Edwards even won back-to-back races at Charlotte from the pole. He's only got 1 win in 2011. 2006, he also won at Charlotte. But they were not back-to-back. And neither of them were from the pole. 9th and 3rd is where he started. 9th and 5th, sorry, is where he started in both those races. There were a couple other drivers that started, or sorry, won back-to-back Charlotte races. Mark Martin did it, but he started 17th and 2nd. There was somebody else that did it too. Rob Moroso won 3 in a row. Started 13th, 4th, and 4th. None of them were from the pole. Harry Gant, one of them was from the pole, but not both. 16th in the other race. And that was it. Those are the only 4 drivers to even win back-to-back Charlotte races. Kyle Busch on this list, I believe, as well. Let me see that. Yeah. Busch, but he started 16th and 6th. And then he did it again. Started 5th and 6th. Yeah, so the answer to the trivia question was right. I was going to say, I at least did my research on that side of it going into the night. Alright, enough of that. Let's get on to the end of this race. Just concluding green flag pit stops, the final set of stops tonight. Dale Jr. going to work his way onto the racetrack. 8th place. Mark Martin pitted probably about 13 laps before Dale Jr. Jr. was 4.8 seconds off the lead when Martin pit. Jr. is going to lose 1 spot as well in the cycling of stops. He was in 7th when the green flag pit stop started. He's back to 8th, and he's 7.5 seconds off the lead. Poisonous Frog, welcome to the stream. Rob Moroso in a video game? Maybe? In the 90s, potentially? I don't know that Dale Jr.'s got a fast enough car to overcome 7.5 seconds. But he's going to give it his all. He's got a lot of traffic between himself and Mark Martin yet. We've had 3 cautions in the race today, but it has been a long time since the last restart and the last yellow. Gone through 2 sets of green flag pit stops since then. And it has been over 100 laps since the last restart. All 3 of those cautions were in the first 50 laps. Died in 90. I don't know what the very first NASCAR game was, and I don't know what year it was. I'd imagine it was probably the early to mid-90s. Whatever the first game was. So I'm probably going to go with no on that. Unless it was like an arcade game. Maybe there was an arcade game. 2 lap cars directly in front of Dale Jr. Jr.'s going to need a spotter to tell these lap cars to get out of the way so he can try to run down the leaders. One of them going to go wide enough for Dale Jr. to get underneath him. 49 laps to go. Jr. just got underneath that lap car. Did not give him a lot of room. No! Up the hill, contact into the wall. Junior's around. Our 4th yellow of the race. He got squeezed in the middle of the corner, and I thought he was still going to complete the pass, but he didn't. Kind of similar to what happened with Kenny Wallace, only Junior went up the track instead of down the track, and he was not able to save it that time. Just talking about lap cars trying to get out of the way, and one of them squeezed Earnhardt, and he couldn't hold on. That's significant damage. That was a pretty good hit into the outside wall for Dale Jr. Our 4th yellow of the race after over a 100-lap green flag run. He's got 1 set of tires left, but he can't pit for fuel or tires being involved in the accident here. He's only down to repair damage. And the terrible luck of 1.5 miles continue for Dale Jr. this Busch Series season. Ran top 10 most of the night, sitting in 8th, trying to close in on the leaders. And now he's going to restart at the tail of the field in 22nd. Half the field's a lap down, but all the lap cars he's going to have to get around as well as the lead lap cars. Green flag back in the air, and the 113 is now a rival of Dale Jr. as well, and I believe Ryan Newman got the free pass during the caution. Hate to see it. 47 laps to go on the restart. Junior's got a pretty damaged race car right now. We'll see if the field can survive. Restarts have been wild at Charlotte today, and it's been a while since the last one. Down on the bottom is Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got to go for broke. That caution has definitely hurt him big time. Rival on the outside of the racetrack of Dale Jr. Up the hill he went, nearly got in the side of Casey Kane. 1 car on the outside wall up ahead of Dale Jr. Jr. ping-ponging off of cars as he hangs on. 3 wide, up the middle through 1 and 2. Holds on to it. Now he's going to try to side draft Shane Meal on the back straightaway. Junior's been good on the outside all day. Just hoping they don't wreck in front of him. Oh, well, he got in the wall that time. That didn't help things. Martin Truex Jr. stuck on the outside of the racetrack right now. Clint Boyer just got to the lead on the restart. Trying to put the fight to Mark Martin, who's dominated the race today. Martin probably the last one that wanted to see a caution. And a bunch up of the field. Oh, wow. Shane Meal got really loose off turn 4. Junior might have taken the air off the rear spoiler of his race car. Allowed for Junior to make a pass for position. And he was in 8th. Had to restart 22nd and has to pass all the lap cars on top of the lead lap cars. On pretty worn tires now, too, considering the fact that he had spun. A jam session in the middle of turns 3 and 4. 1 car got loose off the exit of turn 4. 113 car on the outside lane right now. Dale Jr. closing in on him. He's going to get up into him. Okay, that's one way. Get him up out of the way. Dale Jr.'s like, I've got to go, and you're not holding me up this time. I think the lap cars are holding up some of these lead lap cars enough that that's why Junior's gaining ground right now. Jerry Fasnat, welcome to the stream. Junior was aggressive early in the race, but it wasn't the aggressiveness that bit him. We'll see if it'll propel him to get a potential spin and win victory tonight at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car just up ahead. Junior into turns 1 and 2. He's got Miller blocking him in the 21 car right now. Miller bottoming out a little bit. Contact Earnhardt trying to squeeze underneath Miller. Back straightaway into turns 3 and 4. Pass made for Dale Jr. 39 laps to go. Surprised the car's handling as well as it is, even with a little bit of damage on the right front. It's up to 13th. Field starts to space apart, though. It's going to be harder and harder to get around these guys. Plus, obviously, the further up the field, the faster the cars that he's going to have to pass also. Junior looking low on the back straightaway. One car trying to squeeze him into turns 3 and 4. Still going to have to stay behind him going into the corner. Runs up towards the outside. Off the exit of turn 4. A couple cars got loose in front of him, and that's going to allow him to get underneath one of them, who happens to be a lap down. Junior knocked him up out of the way. Next lap, we'll drive with Martin Truex Jr. one more time in the race today. Try to see if we can get him a little bit further up in the field before Dale Jr. can run him down. Into turns 1 and 2, Dale Jr. on the inside looking to make a pass. And he'll pick up another spot. He's got it. Big run for Truex right now in the front stretch, but Bobby Labonte's going to throw a little block into turns 1 and 2. Truex going to have to sit behind him. Off the exit of the corner, he's going to be looking low. Labonte with a block all the way on the back straightaway. And again, Truex is going to have to sit behind him into turns 3 and 4. Couple cars making contact in the middle of 3 and 4 up ahead. Truex to the inside of Bobby Labonte now. We'll go back with the 81 of Dale Earnhardt Jr., who is 2.1 seconds off the lead and 13th still. Clint Boyer leads. Junior's led just 4 laps today in the middle of green flag pit stops. That's been it. It was in 8th, but now is in 13th with damage. Not going to make his efforts any easier. We'll see, though, if that last restart will be the final one of the race today. And now we'll alternate through the different camera angles for about 6 more laps. One final time in tonight's race. Junior's seemingly losing a little bit of time right now to Clint Boyer as well. Boyer 0.2 of a second quicker than Dale Jr. that last lap. Junior's car is a little tight right now with the damage. Hate to see a lap car put one of the leaders, not the leader, but one of the leaders, kind of a tight situation. On a side-by-side racing up ahead of Dale Jr., it's allowing him to at least catch up to this group of cars. Trying to find a second wind. Trying to stay as low to that white line in the middle of the corner that time through 1 and 2 as possible without touching it. Touch it, gonna go for a ride. A lot of cars gravitating to the outside that time through turns 3 and 4. Truex goes down low with a run on Bobby Labonte again, trying to make a pass. "30 laps to go at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. The Car Quest Auto Parts 300. Truex gaining spots on the bottom of the racetrack right now. J.J. Yaley got a little loose off turn 4. I think there was another car that got loose off turn 4, and Junior's going for it. 3 wide. Down to the bottom. Underneath Bobby Labonte. I think Yaley actually cleared Labonte going into 1 and 2. Bobby checked up just enough. Junior was able to make a quick pass. As quick as he was going to be able to get around one of these guys. Just a little tight right now in this dirty air especially. He was tight with the damage as it was. The dirty air not helping things anymore. Trying to get the car to turn. Can't quite get underneath the 18. Really low in the middle of the corner that time. Now Junior blocking Labonte after a little bit of a lost momentum for Dale Jr. off turn 2. He really backed up 3 and 4 well that time. Got down to the bottom underneath J.J. Yaley. Flirting with disaster towards that apron on the bottom of the track, getting squeezed constantly. But he's going to get around Yaley. There's that middle upper group through turns 3 and 4. Junior looking low, just can't get underneath the 23 car. He ran out of racetrack. Kenny Wallace directly in front of him. Big run. Junior trying to side draft Wallace. 26 laps to go. He's underneath him. Dale Jr. back inside the top 10. What a rally from the 81 crew. Does not want to be denied of a good finish tonight. And he's ahead of the points leader at least. As we run. Gaining points on the championship could likely cut the deficit below 300 points tonight. Anything from here on out would be a bonus, really. Truex going down to block. Oh, contact with the wall. Oh, with the 33. Junior hangs on to it. That was a big block by the 33 car. Great job by either Tony Raines or Tony Stewart, whoever that 33 car was tonight, of keeping it off the wall. And a great job by Junior keeping at least enough momentum up to try his best to stay in it. It's going to add a little bit more damage to the right front, though. Aerodynamically, that's not going to help Dale Jr. Again, though, will this race stay green to the finish? We're 3 and 4. Great corner for Dale Jr. Closed in a ton on Martin Truex Jr. Brian Vickers in front of him. I think that's Aaron Crocker in the 6th car in front of both of those. Team orders is going to allow Dale Jr. to blow by Truex on the back straightaway. Making a clean pass for 8th place. Vickers goes wide into 1 and 2. Junior's got to run. Right in line behind him. Not going to be able to get underneath him that time, though. Into turns 3 and 4. Vickers going just a bit wide. He tried to block Dale Jr. in the middle of the corner, and it costed him. Similar to what happened between Tony Raines and the 33. Truex got by as well. Junior to 7th, Truex to 8th. There's still 20 laps to go. Junior a little loose off turn 4 that time. What's the deal with the next NASCAR game coming out? Well, the plan is that it's not going to come out until 2023. They're supposed to have an update basically for the 2022 version of the game on the current NASCAR 21 Ignition game itself in September. Turns 1 and 2. Junior wants a way around the car in front of him of Aaron Crocker. He is underneath briefly, but Crocker has the straightaway speed to stay in front of Dale Jr. into turns 3 and 4. Junior knows he's faster than Crocker right now, just can't find a way around her. Junior underneath through 1 and 2. Side by side on the back straightaway. Crocker trying to side draft Dale Earnhardt Jr. into turn 3. A little bit of a run up high. Junior's going to be able to clear for 6th. 16 laps to go at Charlotte off turn 4 for Clint Boyer. Top 5 under a blanket. Junior, does he have enough horsepower left in this race car and have enough tires underneath him to run him down? He's left his teammate Truex in the dust. See if he can leave Aaron Crocker in the dust as well. Crocker with another little bit of a run. Trying to cross Dale Jr. back over. Jr. going to hang on. A middle to upper groove off turn 4. 14 laps to go at the line. Crocker trying to get underneath the rear spoiler of the 81, it seems like. Junior gonna gap Crocker through 3 and 4 that time. I'm pressing about as hard on the throttle as I can on the straightaways. That's not really doing much, but Junior is pushing hard right now, just trying desperately to close in. Every point matters in a season-long points format. especially when you're 12th in points. Going into the 13th race of the year, 312 out of first. They drift up to that middle to upper groove that time. That didn't seem like it helped him. Trying to stay as close to that white line as possible. Definitely starting to run out of laps. 11 laps to go this time by. At least in comparison with Clint Boyer, who leads this race right now. Dale Jr.'s been pretty equal with him the last 3 laps. It's been 1.4 seconds off the lead since getting around Crocker in the 6th. '81 car's just a little too tight with the damage on the right front. And he was in 8th place earlier. If he just didn't wreck, you wonder what could have happened. Clipped the apron a little bit through 3 and 4. 10 laps to go. Might have lost a half a tenth at the most that time. I'm surprised he didn't lose complete control of the race car. Junior maybe a tenth quicker than Boyer that last lap. 1.3 off the lead now. Edwards almost got in the wall off turn 4 up ahead. 8 laps to go. Will we get a caution? Or is this how the race is going to end? Edwards almost gets to the inside of his teammate Matt Kenseth. Junior clips the apron off turn 4, but didn't really scrub any time away. Actually held on to it pretty stably. Edwards' failed attempt to get around Kenseth costed him time that last corner. Six laps to go at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Clint Boyer trying to get his 3rd win of the Busch Series season tonight. Mark Martin dominated the race, but is in 3rd currently. 3 of the 4 Roush cars running 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Junior overdrives 3 and 4. 5 laps to go. I think he lost a tenth of a second that time. I mean, he's pushing all he can, and sometimes he's just a hair quicker, but it's obviously just not quick enough. A little out of range. We get a caution this late in the going that could end the race. This juncture. Really sideways off turn 4. Fake Jimmy Johnson, welcome into the stream. I think Junior should just try to hang on to it now. Especially after he overdrove it through 3 and 4. Just try to hang on to 6. 3 to go at the line. He's never had a shot at the top 5. He'll take a 6th place finish. Now it's up to the top two of Clint Boyer and Kyle Busch to duke it out for the win. Mark Martin in third if the top two make a mistake. Proctor's closed in on Dale Jr. the last few laps. May have a shot at 6th place on the final lap if she puts herself in the right position. Jr. going to go up the hill through 3 and 4. That may help her. She'll close again. Definitely in the vicinity to make the pass on Jr. for 6th on the final lap. Battle for there, and as well, of course, a battle for the win between Kyle Busch and Clint Boyer. Boyer out ahead off turn 2. Busch is going to have one more shot to get underneath him, but he hasn't really been able to since the restart. And off turn 4, Clint Boyer will pick up his 3rd Busch Series win of the season. Best finish on a mile and a half this year for Dale Jr. He got into trouble once. Might have costed him a shot to win the race. But he was able to rally for a 6th place finish. But Boyer will get the win by just over a 1/10 of a second over Kyle Busch. Great win for him. He led quite a few laps, especially at the end of the race. 49 laps led after starting 2nd for Boyer. 2 hours was the total race length on today's race. 14 lead changes, 4 cautions for 12 caution laps. 149.56 miles an hour was the average speed of the race. Kyle Busch led just 4 laps today, finishing in 2nd. Mark Martin led the most, dominated the day, but lost the lead on that last restart to Boyer and Busch, and ended up relegating him back to a 3rd place finish right where he started. But 119 to 200 laps led for Martin, unfortunately not to get his first win of the season today. Matt Kenseth led 2 laps as well, finishing in 4th, and Carl Edwards led 1 lap, rounding out the top 5. Dale Jr. led 5 laps in the middle of green flag pit stops, finishing in 6th place. Aaron Crocker with a great run, finishing 7th, highest running of the drivers who did not lead a lap today. Tony Stewart finished in 8th place, Martin Truex Jr. in 9th with 1 lap led, and then Kenny Wallace rounded out the top 10 today. So good run for Chance 2 Motorsports, both cars in the top 10. And we had a total of 23 drivers finish on the lead lap. And not many DNFs. Just 3 drivers failed to finish the race today. Thomas, Ferris, and Smith. All 3 fantasy drivers. I want to see where the points leader finished. So I did not see him in the top 10. So John Hamilton finishes 16th tonight after starting 6th. So the points leader outside the top 15. Dale Jr. finishing 9 spots better than him. That should gain him quite a few points in the standings. Plus he led laps. Hamilton did not. I will take that. That's a good points day. 5 bonus points, finished 6th. We beat the leader by 9 spots. And the points leader. Next race is going to be the MBNA Race Points 200 at Dover next week on the channel. The short tracks coming up in the next 2 races of Dover and the Dodge Raceway. Short tracks is the bread and butter for Dale Jr. on this Busch Series season. There's only 2 wins of the Busch Series season on short tracks. So this is a good stretch of the season for him to get back in it. He survived a mile and a half with a 6th place finish. Fought hard from the get-go. Probably didn't have a car that could win the race. He got the most out of it though today. Pushing hard at the end, he was able to hold on to it. And most importantly, bring it home to the checkered flag. Boyer will take over the points lead with his win today. John Hamilton, after finishing 16th, will drop to 2nd in the standings, 37 points behind Boyer, who is at 1st. Truex moves up 1 spot in the standings from 7th to 6th now. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. gains 1 spot in the points from 12th to 11th. We gained a total of 3 points today. We gained a lot on John Hamilton, but Hamilton lost the lead to Boyer. Boyer won the race. We had a net gain of 3 points today to move us from 12th to 11th in the standings ahead of Morgan Irvin, one of the fantasy drivers. So, hey, I mean, it's a gain nonetheless. I was hoping for more of a gain with a 6th place finish and leading laps, but because Boyer's the new points leader and he won, unfortunately, we only gained 3 points on him. That's a little upsetting considering we had a great day overall. It made me feel like my great day wasn't as great as I originally thought. But still on the comeback trail, and we got, like I said, 2 short tracks coming up. That should play into Earnhardt's wheelhouse. Good shot to get him in the top 10 in points for the first time this season within the next couple of races. So thanks for everybody tuning in tonight. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Don't forget, tomorrow night, live streaming the Truck Series race at Knoxville on the channel with the live commentary. You won't want to miss it. It is the first live commentary live stream I've had in a couple weeks on the channel because of my phone issue last weekend. And no Cup racing this week, so unfortunately still no Cup racing with the live race commentary on the channel. Again, that will end up coming back at Nashville. I was at a couple races within the last month, and again, I was supposed to live stream Sonoma, but my phone got stolen, so unfortunately I was not able to stream last weekend at all. Saturday, and then Sunday ended up having to make it up to you guys, just running a NASCAR live stream later at night after the race was over. So but it should be according to plan tomorrow. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard start time is when the heat races start. Again, I'll be commentating the heat races and the main event later tonight, tomorrow night, on 2 separate streams. First stream will be the heat races, again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The actual main event stream will be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will be the full 150-lap race. We're doing commentary through all the Truck Series action, racing action tomorrow night on the channel. I know the main event at 9 is on FS1. I think the truck race, the heat races are also on FS1. Let me see just to make sure. I'll find the TV schedule for you guys real quick. Yes, all broadcast is on Fox Sports 1 tomorrow. So Fox Sports 1 will have the heat races at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then they will have the main event at 9 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. 38 trucks on the entry list, and only 36 will make the field, so there actually will be 2 drivers going home following the heat races tomorrow, and there will be 4 heat races, 15 laps each. So again, we'll have about an hour break in between races, hence the reason why there's 2 different streams tomorrow for that. Alright, so that's going to set up tomorrow night's schedule. Hope to see you then. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good rest of your night. I'll put a community tab reminder on the channel tomorrow. Probably want to go on lunch break at work. And can't wait to see you. Can't wait to watch some truck racing and dirt racing tomorrow night.